Right, here's my last real question. But look, here's the thing. I will actually put this video out once the lineup is signed, and we have to pretend for the sake of the interview, like, oh, it's still all up in the air. Who knows? So don't worry about that. This won't come out like tomorrow. So in theory, right, the roster that I've heard about will be signed by the time this video comes out, right? So knowing that, I won't mention the players, but I'll just ask you this question because I feel like it's a pretty good layup question for the end of the interview. In light of all we've talked about, like the amount of times you've come in with budget rosters, or you've had to do some Mac magic yourself and get a player who's from ERLs, but suddenly try and win the LEC with them, etc. Then all the worlds, as you say, there've been so many disastrous worlds where it never quite worked out. With the players that it is implied you will now have when this video comes out, Peter, you have a chance to do everything, right? You could win the LEC. You could actually do like a real deep run at Worlds. You could actually have like not just a fluke. You could have like a real semi-finalist or a playoff team, which, by the way, if people have noticed the format change, playoffs is what it's about now. Who knows how much further you can go. Everything's on the table for Peter Dunn now, right?
I mean, I've been typecast, maybe fairly, maybe unfairly, throughout my entire career as a coach that can only work with rookies, right? Like one of the disadvantages.
Yes.
I mean, these are the rosters I like to coach, but also they're the rosters which you get put in a pigeonhole in a certain role. So it will be interesting. Obviously, what I will say is I had concerns about the desire, of my of certain people on this roster to win. But after speaking to them, it's really, really clear from their actions this offseason that these are players that really, really want to win, that are hungry to win. And I will be clear that this isn't a roster that I would normally work with. I would also say, just to get it completely out there, this is not Jankos coming around and saying, these are the players I want to work with. I want to be really clear. He kept very, very clear. He separated himself completely from the roster building process. Obviously, we asked for references because he's worked with them in the past, so it would be silly not to ask him. But he didn't have, if he'd wanted to have a say, he would have had the say, but he deliberately chose not to have the say. Right, so I don't want people to go and say that this is just nepotism. It's not nepotism, right? This is the decision that has been made. What I would say is that I think these guys are incredibly motivated. I think that they have things to prove, and I think that they have pedigree, and I think that they have demonstrated that they still have the ability to win. And I think that there is, what I would say going back is that there is one thing that that Dopa is often quoted as saying, right? Which is that the players today often have mechanics, but one of the things that has been lost is knowledge for how to play the macro game because it's not rewarded in current League of Legends, right? And I would say that all of the players here that I will have the opportunity to work with next year have been some of the smartest players to ever play the game.
Oh, some of these are macro wizards, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to work. We're going to have a very, very fun time because obviously we'll be playing T1 in a Red Bull Challenge on the 9th of December. So that will be a good, I don't know if this is after. Hopefully we haven't gotten smashed by T1 by then. If this is after the 9th of December, if it's before the 9th of December, that should be a really fun one to turn into. But it will be a good first step to see, can we survive past 17 minutes? Sorry, Mac. Past 25 minutes against T1. Or can we get a win? But I would say that, again, this is, I guess, a lot of people have something to prove with this roster. And I think that's individual players. I think that's the org as a whole, right? Because obviously, if this roster doesn't do well, we're going to get clowned on, right? I think it's a roster for me as a coach because, I have a reputation as a coach that can only coach rookies. So let's see. And I think it's also, Worlds is in Europe this year, right? And the last time a super roster was built with Worlds in the current country was TL in 2022. And what happened to them? They lost to some random rookies in the playoff semi-finals. I can't remember what team that was, but so all I can say is, it will be an exciting year. One of the things I will say is, no matter what you think about this roster and what you thought about Heretic's roster last year, you cannot deny that the rosters are definitely interesting. And I hope that makes fans tune in, and I hope it makes Heretics are very, very keen to win, and they're very keen to do well. And sometimes building long term for success is a good thing, but sometimes if you have the option to just go, sometimes just going is the right call. And again, it's not the roster that I would normally build, but when Aranea, who's the GM of Heretics, comes to me and says, "You can have this roster. You have your coach veto," right? Because Heretics have given me a coach veto. Do you coach veto this? I'm like, are you crazy? Why would I coach veto? Like, you're offering me this roster? Like, I'm not going to. In the same way that when we could sign Jankos, he said, "You have a coach veto, right?"
Yes. You
said you wanted a rookie jungler. This is going to impact how our team functions. Do you want to use it? And I was like, of course not. So this is the way. This is how things go. I will say that this top laner was a top laner that I've respected for a long time, and is somebody that I thought I was going to coach in 2018, right? So I've been looking forward to it whilst he continues to smash every team that I play on. that I coach. Like, I've had to watch him stop literally every team that I've coached, both domestically and internationally. So I'm really looking forward to coaching him, and to have two of the GOATs on the team is obviously insane. Obviously, the supporter is already signed. So, Kaiser is a player that I've had one of the best personal relationships with of any player that I've ever worked with. And, Flakked is incredibly good for team environment. And what I can say is that what he adds, so there's something about Flakked, which is that he is a good AD carry. That sounds like faint praise. He's a very good AD carry, right? But the one thing that makes Flakked, every AD carry has their kind of niche things that they can do, Like Hans Summer can play his Draven, or Brownie is really good at calling resources to his lane in the early game. The thing that Flakked gives you is he gives you flexibility. He will play Seraphine, he will play Ziggs, he will play he will play Draven, not as good as Hans Summer, but he will play everything. And on a team that has these solo laners and this jungler, the ability to play anything in bot lane will be a massive, massive boon. And let's see how this roster works. I think we can find a lot of success, and I guess the only thing that remains to be seen is put out the results, or go home with your tail between your legs, right? But Heretics fans, and I think LEC fans as a whole, to be honest, should be excited for what this roster has to provide. Maybe we can challenge G2 for some titles. If not, I guess there's plenty of meme fodder, but hopefully we won't go down the meme fodder route in the future. But definitely have a lot of confidence, and yeah. I don't know how. I literally have no idea how Aranea has managed to build this roster, but I cannot imagine how it's possible. But I'm very excited to work with it going into next year.
I'll just say on that, it reminds me with the scenario you're describing of what famously, I've often told this conversation, that before Jack signed Perkz to Cloud9, he was actually choosing, by the way, this is sort of aged not as well, but at the time it was interesting. He had a choice. He either keeps Nisky, they didn't think they were going to win Worlds and that, or his gamble was you could get Parler Fox, who now looks awesome, but at the time was like a gamble, or he could get Perkz, right? And to get Perkz, obviously you had to break the bank, right? But the thing that I said in the end that sort of won Jack over, like you're talking about here, is it's the problem with this is, even if the Parler Fox guy was awesome and let's say he made top 8 at Worlds, or maybe you keep Nisky and you win LEC, the problem is you'll always wonder, what if I'd signed Perkz? So it's like you say, you can't be the guy who 6 years from now is I could have had, and then you say the names of the 3 players that are the top. You can't be the guy who said no to that, can you? You can't. Come on.
You can't. And to be honest, I'm curious as well. I'm curious to see how I will handle this roster. Obviously, I've had a good time working with veterans in the past, but I've never had roster. There are, I can't even remember how many titles Perkz has won, but the on this roster, nobody has won fewer. Oh no, Flakked has only won 1 LEC title, but everyone else
just
has
the
won
one, just the one.
Just the one,
Sure.
But Kaiser's won 2.
Yep.
Jankos and Perkz have won so many that I can't even, Perkz won, I can't even remember.
Something mad 9 or something insane, I think like that.
Yeah. But I can't this must be one of the most winningest rosters ever built, right? And to be honest, the only complaint you can have is, are players washed? But when you go and watch Yahoo and you go and watch Faker and you go and watch the Shy World,
Yes.
what is washed in these.
You're right. If you're a super veteran, there's a different set of rules.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or be a pleb and don't.